This is ex-Wallkill Bethelite here, and I was just going to tell you guys a little bit of how regimented Bethel life was. When you go to have breakfast or lunch, you have what is called a table head. So you sit down at the table, and there is a particular person at the end of the table, and the person at the head of the table is called, of course, the table head. Why is this important? Well, you wouldn't just eat a meal like any of you guys can eat a meal at home, where you just get what you want to eat, sit down, eat it, and go about your business. Well, no, you have waiters at Bethel. And, these waiters don't take your order, go get the food, and bring it to you. No, the table gets the same thing, and they bring the food to the table head. Once the food is brought to the table head then decides in which direction the food will be passed. So he may decide, I want to pass this along to the left. If he decides that, then the whole table has got to pass that food item to the left all the way back around and then back to the table head. And it goes back to the table head, and the table head decides where he's going to sit the food. Why does this matter? Well, if you and the table head are buddies, and this is fried chicken day, and everybody's looking forward to fried chicken, everybody's sitting there, sleeves rolled up, well, the table head can decide to send the food in the direction of all his friends there, so that they get the choice pieces. Let's say you want a breast, or you want a thigh, or something like that. It seems like it'd just be simple enough to just get one, no? Well, it depends on where the food gets passed, or once the food gets passed, where it gets placed after it's passed. He might set it right by his buddies, and his buddies help themselves to whatever choice piece of chicken that you may want. And this is regiment. I mean, this is a very minor thing, but there's rules attached to which direction food is passed. And once the food is passed around the table, you think, well, they just set it down right, and then you go get what it is that you want. No, most times you have to ask, can you please pass such and such? You guys are not going to believe what I'm going to tell you, but it was not uncommon for Bethel to run out of food. So let's just say we get a bowl of fried chicken on fried chicken night, and that bowl gets passed around the table. The bowl's empty, and what a lot of people did as a tactic, there's that thing again, you shouldn't have to use tactics when you're just having a meal. This is every day. What a lot of people would do is make sure there was no more chicken left in that bowl by the time it got all the way around, so that the table head could set it to the side, and the waiter would come and grab the bowl and refill it and bring it back. The reason that they would do that is they don't want to wait, and then they run out of fried chicken, and then they get ready to send the bowl back, and the waiter's like, I'm sorry, but we're out of fried chicken. So you had people that would want to, let's say, this is a term that they would use in Bethel, and that's called gleaning. If you wanted to take a little baggie back to your room, that's called gleaning. Well, let's say you'd like to take a couple pieces of fried chicken home. Well, what a lot of people would do is, as soon as that bowl, you got to time it all right and everything. As soon as that bowl got sat down, you'd want to time things so that you ask, could you please pass the fried chicken so that the bowl is closer to you, so that after the meal was over, you can go ahead and stuff it in your Tupperware and your baggie, whatever food item you might want. Or you can kind of rush to go and see if there's any left. And a lot of times there wouldn't be on certain days, or depending on where you're sitting, you might not get there in time before everybody else does. It all sounds ridiculous to every single day have to go through something like that. But that was just regimen. That's just, you don't even think about it after a while. It's just how it is. And you just go about your mealtime in a strategic manner, depending on what it is that you like. So some people, on certain days would glean certain things that they would like. But in order to do that, they would have to time things right so that the bowl gets sent out and refilled and brought back and then passed back closer to them, so that they can glean. Some people was just, if it was a dessert dish, they may want to glean that. There was a cheesecake that was pretty good. And I remember, just so happens at lunchtime, I wasn't planning it, I wasn't being strategic, nothing like that. It just so happened that after lunch, the table that I was sitting at just so happened to be the table that the waiters brought out the extra cheesecake, and it was like in trays in a row, and they would roll that out, push it, and it just so happened they pushed it right by where I was. Well, that cheesecake was delicious, and the crust on that cheesecake was scrumptious, and they had strawberries on top, and I was going to get some more of that. So what I did, I remember after the meal and everything was over, I just got up and grabbed some. And it was easy for me because it was right by me. So I get up and I grab 2 pieces of cheesecake. One piece was for a brother that I worked with on my crew, because during lunchtime he went to go play basketball, and he asked if I could glean for him. And the other piece was for me to eat later on for a snack after I finished studying in the library. A lot of times I'd study so long in the library that afterwards it's like, man, I want a snack, And as I grabbed the 2 slices of cheesecake, I remember hearing a sister, "Do you see what he got?" And I mean, think about that. Think about that. We're grown adults, and you got people, and it's like they're kids. "Do you see what he got? 2 pieces of cheesecake." You know what I mean? That was every day, where things are so regimented, things are so strict to a degree that the smallest, most minor thing, there was a lot of thought around it or strategy involved with it. And, it's probably because you are not getting paid for working. So if you can just imagine thinking, hey, I'm not getting a paycheck this week, not getting a paycheck next week, not getting a paycheck the week after that, and I'm working, over 40 hours sometimes. Well, generally, I think for me, it was definitely over 40 hours a week. And so those little things like that was a big deal. If you could just imagine, just not having money for minor things. Like when I first got to Bethel, I did have some money because I was working up until the time that I had gone to Bethel. And I went and bought a bag of Cheetos and brought it back to my crew. And to me, it wasn't a big deal. Just got to Bethel, so I didn't have time to miss things like that. And I sit down in the area where the crew would meet to discuss things, and had the bag of Cheetos. Opened the bag, grabbed a couple out, handed it to one of my crewmates, and the first thing he said was, "Do you know how long it's been since I've had Cheetos?" You know what I mean? And he gets an individual Cheeto out of the bag and just stares at it for like a good 10 seconds. And then he eats that Cheeto like it's just, the best thing he's ever tasted. And I'm like, get a handful, have some Cheetos, you know what I mean? But, every little thing, again, just to emphasize, because it would be hard for people to grasp without me, discussing every little detail of how big of a deal minor things were when you don't have A, money, or B, a lot of time. And there were people that would do things called G jobs. And what a G job is basically a job outside of Bethel, like a little job that you would do to make a little money. And depending on what your skill was, that could work out pretty well for you. If you were an electronic or something like that, where you had a skill where you could go out and really, fix things for people, maybe work on some cars for some people or something like that, make some money on the side, that may not be as big of an impact for you. But I think by and large, especially, myself, I was actually living off of what I got from Bethel, and that was enough to cover, necessary things such as toiletries and things like that. And I don't know, if when you're in a hurry, you take the time, like let's say you're rushing to go to work. Do you take the time to make sure every little thing in the room is just right before you leave? Well, before I left for morning worship, and then of course after that work, my room had to be spotless. Now you have what's called housekeepers, but these housekeepers become tattletales if your room is not spotless. You don't leave your room any old kind of way and then they come and straighten it up. No, you leave your room clean. As a matter of fact, when I first got there, I had a bedroll. I think I may have mentioned that in another one of my videos. I had what's called a bedroll, a little mattress that you roll out and you sleep on. I couldn't leave that thing out. I remember rushing, and you're in a hurry. You're trying to get to morning worship. Starts at 7, so you got to get dressed and get ready and get out, do everything And I remember leaving out once and getting halfway to morning worship, and I had to turn around, rush back to the room, because I rolled up my bedroll and everything, but I didn't put it back in the closet. So I had to rush back. Could you? Nobody, you guys don't have to do things like that. And I'm not talking about leaving things a mess. I'm talking about things not being put in a specific place, because I had the bedroll rolled up, tied up, and up against a corner in the room. So it's not out in the middle of the floor or anything like that. But no, it has to be in the closet. It was supposed to be in the closet. So I ran back and had to grab the bedroll to put it inside the closet. And this is, I'm telling you guys, every single day, I think with the exception of, sometimes during the weekend. But throughout the week, that's how things would have to be. And you go through something that is called, I think, housekeeper training. And what they do, again, I'm going to let you guys know how regimented it is at Bethel. One of the things that they do, they do a lot of things in that training. One of the things that they do in housekeeper training is show you how to make a bed. I know you're sitting there thinking, who doesn't already know how to make a bed? Why do you need a class to teach you how to make a bed? Because they want the bed made a certain way. Who cares? Why does it matter? Once you leave your room, as long as your bed's made, it should be okay. No, that bed has got to be made a certain way. So what they do is the housekeeper would teach you how they want you to make your bed. If you mess up during this training, which I remember doing, because at first I'm thinking, well, I know how to make a bed. So I make the bed and it looked neat. Housekeeper comes behind me and pulls everything out. Pulls the sheet out, pulls the blanket out, messes it up, and tells me I got to start over. Because it's got to be I'm telling you, it's got to be made a specific way. Otherwise, it's not correct. Just nitpick little things like that. But that's what you had to live with as a Bethelite. Again, unless you had some kind of a futon or a bedroll that you're going to roll up and toss in your closet somewhere, if you had a bed, it had to be made a certain way. And you had, only a certain amount of time. I'm talking about morning worship, really, to eat. And, it would be nice, you would think, that after breakfast, after morning worship, stay and say hi to a couple of your friends or whatever. Relax a little bit and go on to work. No, you need to rush to get to work, because I had to walk. There was a shuttle, but I'm not the type of person that would enjoy just being flooded with people around me all the time. I felt like I needed a second to breathe. So after morning worship, I would just walk to work. Give me just a couple of seconds to just breathe and not have 50 people around me all the time. So a lot of times I didn't take the shuttle, which sometimes I got there faster because you had to wait for everybody to get to get to the shuttle before it would take off and drop you closer to where your assignment was. So I would a lot of times walk to my assignment just so that I could get some time to myself, but I would be fast walking so that I can get there in time and not be late for work. So I could go on and on and on about all the rules and the structure and how there was a strategy for luncheon. And I tell you what, breakfast, we had Kashi cereal, and this might be off topic as far as structure and regimen. We had Kashi cereal, and I never heard of or seen Kashi cereal before going to Bethel. But I felt like if I saw another morsel of Kashi cereal, I was jumping off the roof. We had Kashi cereal all the time. And a lot of times they would have like a quiche or something like that. And I did not like that. And I like almost everything. There aren't too many foods I don't like. But that quiche, oh, come on. That was bad. And sometimes they had some kind of a fruit cocktail. And you think, how can you mess that up? Oh, they did. They did. Somehow that was bad too. Breakfast, a lot of times, was not the best meal. And you would have, they'd sometimes sit you a box of Kashi cereal, kind of as a, substitute, or sometimes that would be the main thing for breakfast. And how many times are we going to have the same cereal? It might not be a big deal to you guys to have the same cereal. It's not a big deal to me to have the same cereal. But could you imagine having a cereal you don't like all the time? Let's mix it up a little bit. Kashi cereal to me was not good. I didn't like it. And they had it all the time. And it's like, you're going to eat something because you're about to go and work your tail off. So you're going to need some energy. And at first I remember just having some coffee. Oh, this will do me. I'm just going to have some coffee and maybe a piece of toast or something like that. And I'm just going to wait till lunch because this quiche is horrible. But no, you want to. Then I remember being starving at lunchtime. So yeah, you want to go ahead and eat something during breakfast. And there were, maybe some other breakfasts that weren't as bad. But that quiche, you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy. And that Kashi cereal. If I ever go down an aisle in a grocery store and see a box of Kashi cereal, they're going to call the police because I'll probably lose my mind. Throw every box on the ground and run over top of it, So it was just so regimented. And you only had so much time in a day for things. Especially me working at a truck dock, because you were dependent on what time the trucks got there. Sometimes the trucks wouldn't get there on time. You couldn't leave your assignment until your assignment was done. And a lot of times we ran over. And that would make things a little bit tougher. You're talking about being on a time schedule, being structured, being regimented. And if you're leaving work late a lot of the time, that runs you behind even other Bethelites. As far as trying to rush to get to meetings, and there was another rule with regards to rides. You didn't want to just ride by yourself. You wanted to carpool, and that was a whole nother thing altogether. Because somebody was always late. Somebody was going to be late all the time. But you guys let me know what you think about something like that, and just and living like that for years. That would drive a lot of people crazy. But this is X Walk Hill Bethelite signing out.